Nicola Coom knows all about cancer only too well. Not only is she the Cancer Society's new CEO, but she knows how cancer impacts families. She's lost family members, including her mum, to ovarian cancer. Her family carries a gene that significantly increases their chances of a cancer diagnosis. She's desperate for New Zealand to be more ambitious about cancer outcomes and says there has been a huge reaction to the new and latest cancer drugs rolled out this week. But there's so much more going on, so can we compete, say, with Australia? Are our advances that good? Nicola joins us now. Nicola, g'day. Welcome to the program.
Good morning. Good morning, Duncan. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Hey, so you've been in the role 3 months. How have you? What's your take on it?
I have been in this role for 3 months. Look, I think it's a really exciting time to be joining the Cancer Society in this capacity. I think in New Zealand we are on the cusp of some great change. I know we're going through challenging times, but I am quite buoyed actually by the recent announcements in the last few weeks, and I am pretty positive that we will see better cancer outcomes over the next few years. I think you wake up and you've only got two choices. You can either be positive and hopeful, or you can be pessimistic and down in the dumps. So I'm choosing to be optimistic about the future.
I think being positive also keeps you alive. You know, with a cancer diagnosis, which my mum had 10 years ago, she was damn sure she was going to beat it, and she was positive, you know, and she's come through it. And the thing about it is, these drugs that have come online this week, so you've seen the drugs, the first of the rollout from the government's new and big spend, these could be life-saving drugs. What's been the reaction to them?
Oh, absolutely. You know, this is a great example where the money is getting directly to the families. So, this was a significant, first of its kind investment into cancer medicines, and quite frankly, well overdue. We were and we still are, but sitting at the bottom of the OECD as you and many of the people that who've been advocating for this for many years have been saying. And so this is the first step of us starting to get off the bottom, and no one wants to be on the bottom of a step, of a ladder like that. So this first announcement for these two drugs particularly will start to lift us. The impact on families is huge. These will extend life. This will give people more time with their families. It'll also mean they don't have that financial burden of funding these drugs themselves. We've been a country that's been funding cancer medicines through give a little pages.
Yeah,
and that's not good enough.
It's no policy to have.
So this is a start. This is a start.
Yeah.
Of change.
And I think this really is. This is the first time I've seen a government invest properly, even though they forgot about it in the budget that came a bit later. Yeah, okay, so they got hammered for that. But the end of the matter is they funded it, $600 million. That's the biggest investment I've seen in my entire sort of 30 years of covering politics and news and everything. I've never seen a government put one drop of $600 million in at one go as an increase. It's phenomenal.
Oh, it is. Totally agree. And yes, there's an argument we need more, and yes, we do. But I think this is a really great first start. And it's not just that. We've also, in the last few months, had an increase in the NTA, which is the National Travel Assistance Scheme. So that's a scheme that supports families get to their treatment. So you might be living on the West Coast and you need to travel to Christchurch to have your chemotherapy or your radiation. And as you can imagine, if you're coming backwards and forwards, the cost of that, particularly with petrol and accommodation, is quite significant. And for some, it's actually been a barrier. So we had an increase in that as well, of about 18 million. So
how hard is it to get that?
Things are happening.
Yeah, how hard is it? I've never heard about the transport allocation. I saw that the other day, and I was wondering how hard is it to access and to get some money, and how much do you get, and what's it like to go through that process?
Oh, you need a whole show just on that, Duncan.
Oh, really?
Look, the process itself is probably the next step. To be honest, the process is slow and it's clumsy. So the money has now come to those families. So they have had a $40 increase. So that's gone from $100 to $140 a night for accommodation in terms of allowance. So that's significant. The process, though, is the next step. And look, I was really buoyed by a meeting I had with the minister on Monday, who was very clear that his expectation is that part of this NTA package is an improvement in this process, and this needs to be automated. and that the manual filling out of forms and the process for accessing that is not good enough. And he, right there in front of me, he asked his advisors for an implementation plan, effective immediately. So, the action is coming.
I think Shane Retty's been slightly a breath of fresh air, to be honest, in health. You hear we put so much money into it under the last 6 years, and where were the outcomes? They even stopped going for outcomes. They stopped their own internal tests of how they're doing. At least this government has targets. You need targets. When you spend so much money, you need targets to see where you're at. So good on them for doing that. Retty looks like he knows what he's doing. And I would say, though, you've got to sort out that transport fund, because I remember Dad filling out some forms to try and get some insurance cover for an MRI, I think, when he was going through his cancer stuff, and I saw the heartbreak. I'm just trying to fill out all this stuff, and it was just ridiculous. They've got enough going on. It needs to be as simple as possible.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. And in this day and age, manual processes like that are unacceptable.
You personally, you've lost your mum to cancer, so you know what this is like, and you have a gene in your family that's no good.
Yeah, we do. We have the BRCA1 gene mutation, which means that carriers of that have a higher risk of breast and ovarian cancer. So my mum and many members of her family, sisters, passed of ovarian cancer, and that was some days. Yeah, as you know, some days it feels like 6 months ago. Sometimes it feels like a lifetime ago. But that is a driving force for me. And my dad's just recently finished prostate cancer treatment. So I know too well what the impact of cancer has on families, and the need for us to do better and to have better options for New Zealanders. I've also got family members who've travelled across the ditch to get treatment, to get access to what they consider is world-class standard care and world-class standard medicines. And I don't want that for anybody. Because of this gene, I know that it's a good chance that one, two, or all of my children have inherited it from me, and so I want to know that they and then their children have better options than what mum did and that what I've had. So that's my driver.
Yeah, no, and you're the perfect person to be sitting in that chair, because it needs to be survivor focused. It needs to be cancer survivor focused, doesn't it? Because it's got to be about the cancer. It's got to be about the cancer and the person suffering cancer. Just get rid of all this stuff we don't need and focus on the treatment, the drugs, and the people involved.
Absolutely, and I think we've got to be more ambitious for New Zealanders. We can't accept average. And if you look at many of our cancer stats, we are average and we're below average. For a small country like this, we should be punching way above where we are now, and it's not good enough. And we've I'm ready to join everyone and put our foot down, get loud, get noisy, and get some change happening.
Yeah, we're not a poor country. It's all about, to me, it's about, after covering this stuff for a while, it's about priorities. So every government sits down every year and puts a budget together. It's about priorities. If you want to put money into that, you will. If you want to put into that, you will. You take it from there. There's billions of dollars to spend. How are we going to spend it? It's simple. This should be, given the stats, a priority. And I think it slowly has become one.
Yeah, I do too. Cancer is the number one cause of death in New Zealand, and has not received anywhere near the amount of funding over the last 10, 15 years that it should have. And as a result, all of those indicators have declined. And it's, that's kind of 101.
It is.
So we increase the investment and the outcomes will increase. It's not rocket science.
It's a no-brainer. Hey, I better dash, but I've chosen the Cancer Society as my charity for Celebrity Treasure Island. So you'd have to wait and see if there's any money coming your way, but I'm going to do my best, okay?
Thanks, Duncan. We're really grateful and we really appreciate your support.
No worries. All the best. Nice to have a chat. Good to catch up.
See you later.
Duncan Garner.